How do you project profits as a brand new business? Let's talk about that today on 10-Minute Food Truck Training.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, my name is Bill Moore, founder of FoodTruckTraining.group. Figuring out profit potential on a new business is a shot in the dark. Hopes and dreams don't pay the bill, so let's get into some bankable numbers, something you can really depend upon. First to understand is what profit is and what profit is not. Profit is the money left over after you paid all the bills. Profit is not the money that's in your cash till at the end of the day. Some of that money, if not all of that money, is already earmarked to pay bills that are not yet due. Your cell phone bill, your commissary bill, your insurance, next year's licensing fees, all of those things you know at some point will have to be paid. So if you're taking today's sales and paying a bill that was due today or one that was past due, you're living off of cash flow. Any interruption in that cash flow could spell disaster for your business. That's way too stressful of a way to run a business. So let's fix that. First thing we're going to do is start with the bills that we know have to be paid and that those amount very rarely or perhaps even never change. That would include things like licenses, insurance, permits, event fees, cell phone. All those things don't change. And we're also going to include the things that may change slightly, but these things are still independent of sales, like propane or gasoline. Those are burned at a constant, predictable rate, and they don't change very much. So for example, if you sell 1 million hamburgers today and you're open 8 hours to do it, you're going to burn a certain amount of propane. You open tomorrow, open for 8 hours, and only sell 100 hamburgers, you've burned probably the exact same amount of propane. That's why I consider that to be a fixed or nearly fixed cost. It's the same with the generator. It's the same with the gasoline you put in your tow vehicle. It's the same with the gasoline you put in your vehicle to run around and do your shopping and pick up all the food and supplies that you need. Once we know the total of those bills, profit begins once those bills are paid. So let's use some real easy numbers. Let's just say $10,000 a year pays for all the stuff I've already mentioned. But we're going to account for the weather. So let's say we're only open 200 days out of the year. So that means every single day we're open, to pay for the things I just mentioned, we need $50 a day. But that doesn't cover the food that it takes to make those $50 in sales. Nor does it cover setting aside money to market or to do repairs or for cleaning supplies. Those particular things are variable in cost. It varies because it depends on your sales. So if you're going to do $50 in sales, you certainly don't need $50 worth of food, but you still have to pay for that. So we have to think, how do we account for things that vary? So we're going to set those as a budget percentage. If we're going to do 50 in sales and we want our food cost to be a 25% food cost, then we should be buying $12.50 worth of food. We're going to set aside 5% of our sales should go towards marketing, 2% should go towards repair and maintenance, about 0.5% for cleaning supplies, about 0.2% for office supplies. You're going to set those things aside knowing that you will consume those products in the future. So you want to have that money accounted for in your sales. Now, I want you to think about buying your food and why it's a variable expense. If we go out today and buy $100 in food and we sell nothing today, at the end of the day, we still have $100 in food. If we've handled it properly, we can use that same food tomorrow. So we haven't lost anything. We have no food costs because we have no sales to divide it by. But that food still remains on inventory. Tomorrow will be a better day and we'll sell some food. So that's why it's a variable percent, because it's there to be used. Whereas your insurance, if I do no sales today, they're still going to charge me insurance premiums next month. If I do no sales today, my cell phone bill is still due. So that's why those are fixed. And then we have the variable expenses that we've been talking about, food and marketing and repair, cleaning, office supply. And you can put other things in there too, as long as you can express that as a percentage. So the next step towards figuring out profit is to add up those variable expenses and get a grand total percentage. So we're going to do easy math, and let's just say that all that stuff adds up to a ridiculously high 50% in variable expenses. So that means if 50% of our cost is variable, that means the other 50% has to cover the fixed. And what you do is you take 100% and subtract the variable percentage. So in our case, 50 from 100 still leaves 50. If you have a more reasonable number, like you're doing 25% food cost, 5% marketing, 2% repair and maintenance, that adds up to 32%. You take 100 minus 32, and that means that your fixed cost to break even represents 68%. It's not a big deal what that number is, because we're just looking to break even right now. Profit begins after we've broken even. So in our case, using the $50 in fixed cost, profit begins for our business at $100, because we did nice easy math. Once we hit 100 in sales, we've paid for that day's portion of all those fixed expenses. And then we've also paid for the amount of food and supplies that it takes to generate that $100. So we have broken even at that point at $100 for that single day. You do that 200 days a year and you have broken even on all your bills for the whole year. Profit begins at $101. And the question is, how much do we make out of that extra dollar? Well, if you've been kind of following along, we're now making 50%, because 50% of that dollar has to go to the variable cost, has to do the food that it took to generate that dollar, has to pay for the supplies, the potential for repair and maintenance, setting a little tiny bit aside for that. So that extra dollar that we did in sales, 50% of it is taken up by the variable cost. The other 50%, so the other 50 cents, is profit. And the same thing happens when we have $10 more. If we did $110, $5 of it, 50% of it pays for all the food it took to generate those $10 in sales and all the other expenses that are variable. And the remainder, because we've already paid for that day's fixed cost, will be the other $5. So no matter how much you go over your break even, whatever your variable costs are is taken out of that amount of money. The remainder becomes your profit. So bottom line is, how does all this predict profit? So we're going to take that $100 sales goal, because that's what we need to break even, and turn that into a number of guests. We're going to do some more easy math. So let's say our check average is $10. So for our $100 in sales break-even point, we would need 10 guests. That $10 check average divided into that $100 in sales means I need 10 people to come pay me $10 today. Now I've got a number that I can visualize, because I'm not visualizing numbers, I'm visualizing people. We all know 10 people. If the break-even point is $100, we all know 10 people. We can get 10 people into our business. Chances are the 10 people that we know probably know more people than we do. So if they each invite 1 or 2 people, now we've got, 20 or 30 people coming in. So the final piece of the puzzle, the final piece of the profit puzzle, is how many people can we realistically handle? If you want to project forward how much money you could make after you know what your break-even point is, we got to look at a couple of things. You have 2 limiters on your ability to take care of your guests. One is your cooking capacity. The other is your service. Your cooking capacity is limited by the equipment. You can only cook so many hamburgers an hour on a griddle. No matter what size it is, it has a limit. So you got to understand your limits in your cooking capacity. The other limiter is your sales capacity. A good cashier can take one order roughly every 40 seconds if your menu is simple enough. But let's just say for easy math that they can do one order per minute. So that means your max would be 60 orders an hour times that $10 we've been talking about. That means your max sales could be $600 an hour. You cannot go higher than that because you're limited on your cooking capacity and or your service capacity. So the real question is, how many people can you expect to answer your marketing call and try your food? So let's get back to the question. What is a reasonable profit projection? You know the answer. We just talked about it. It's all dependent on you, a little bit of math, and a whole bunch of marketing and execution. That execution has to come in quality service, cleanliness, and community. The people that say, just build it, They will come. That's movie fiction. Food truck showing up on a corner is going to generate some impulse shopping. If you're cooking some food that has some nice aromas, you're going to get impulse shoppers. The ones that walk by and smell whatever you're cooking go, ooh, that smells good. I would like some. Please, may I have an order? That will not sustain you very long. You have to have plans for it all. We plan the profit. We plan the marketing. We plan the execution. We re-examine our execution every day. How can we do better? Your goal today is to be 1% better than you were yesterday. Do the math on that. The formula for it is 1.01. That represents 1% better. 1.01, and raise that to 365th power. So you have 1.01 with an exponent of 365. Put that in a calculator and tell me what that number is. You will be surprised how much better you'll be at the end of 1 year by only trying to be 1% better. So if all this seems a little hard to follow, because I know we're all just using words here, sometimes math can be hard to follow unless you see it. I'm one of those people that has to see it. We've got you covered. Our private Facebook group, you can join up. We've got all kinds of job aids there to help you on your road to success. So just join us up. It is Facebook, and the name of the group is Food Truck Training. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider supporting our podcast. Click that little button that says support. Help us out. Every little bit helps, and I do enjoy all your comments. Please hit us up on the group, and I will see you guys tomorrow.